What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Morning Cup of Culture Show. I'm your host, Brooke Black. This is a community of inclusiveness, diversity, and belonging through social justice, culture, and music. Wow. Okay, I have Canyon on the freaking call today. So I'm really excited about this. He just dropped his brand new album, Punches. Canyon has been rapping since the age of 11 years old. He's from New York City, and you're now in California?
I'm in LA, correct.
Sweet. When did you relocate to LA?
About a year ago now.
Oh, so not very long.
Yeah, just moved out here. I love New York, but yeah, it's really nice out here. I can't lie.
What part of New York?
Right outside the city. So like right under the city.
Okay, so actually New York then?
Yeah, that's where I spent the last 8 years in New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What was it like during the pandemic being up there? Because that seemed pretty gridlocked.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy actually. I was in my studio apartment, and I was like right in the middle of Manhattan. And it was weird. Like you turn on the news and they'd be like, back to CNN, but first to Manhattan, where the worst of the pandemic. And it's like, oh shit, I'm right there. So I just didn't go outside much, but it really helped. We'll get to it, but really helped with the album because it was like, I'm sure a lot of people had crazy lockdown experiences, but like not being able to leave your apartment building for a little bit, it kind of fucks with your head and definitely got me thinking big picture.
Yeah. So with that being said, I know that New York is a very fast-paced environment. So when everything just shut down, is that what forced you into creative mode?
Yes and no. So I've been working but really been like obsessed with rapping like since I was 11. But you know, I've been working, but just I was focused on like, oh shit, I wrote like 8 good raps today. Like, you know, I was doing good at my job, but that wasn't like even what I was focused on. When the pandemic hit, it was like, okay, I've been like waiting for my moment. Kind of like God just gave me my moment almost. Like I had a lot of shit actually scheduled then, like a bunch of trips I had to do, and they all got canceled in one day. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Like my entire calendar just cleared, quit my job and just wrote song after song after song. Like I might've written over 1,000 songs. And then the 8 you hear on the album were the 8 that got whittled down. I also have more songs, but it was really, it was definitely a point where I was like, I'm going crazy now.
So when did the big move, did you move to get signed? Like what transitioned you to go to LA? What was the discerning factor to go to LA?
Yeah, so it was a few things. So first of all, I'm starting a tech company with my co-founder, a sports tech company. So we actually both go to USC, University of Southern California, and we're in the MBA program right now. So I really, during one of the things also in the pandemic was like, I'm never working for anybody again. So I'm going to rap and we're going to start a company. Like that's what we're going to do. So, so that's one of the reasons I moved to LA. I think that was the like initial spur, but for music, it's been crazy. Like I actually, there's so much stuff that happens out here. And you know, some people say people in LA are very fake. And I'm not going to say that's not true, but I also think that when you're trying to accomplish things, it's nice to also have people that are trying to accomplish things, but also are nice people and like out here to both hang out and collaborate with people. Whereas on the East Coast, it's kind of like a little less friendly. It's like, you know, it's either you fuck with someone or you don't kind of. And I think out here, people are a little bit more of the mind of like, we can all make it together potentially. It's like helping each other's brands.
I like that. Community is super important. So with all this writing that you've done and all the music that you have, are there any, how do I want to phrase this? What's one word in rap that gets overused?
Wow, that's a good question. One word in rap that gets overused. Oh, fuck. I have a few. So there's a few that come to head. First of all, freestyle is a word that gets overused. Definitely freestyle. Like that word has gotten so diluted that like I can really freestyle and I'll do a freestyle and someone will show me a radio show and I'll be like, that's from this song, dude. Like that's not a
okay.
So I think that word, but no, but I think there's probably some other words like, I mean, like obviously like clout and drip and all that shit just kind of gets overused. You just see it on all these rap pages. I personally am not a fan of like the copying culture of like, oh, cool. Like Young Thug said P, keep it P. sorry, Lil Baby said P, so I'm going to say that. Or sorry, Gunna said P, so I'm going to say that. I mean, maybe like a little bit. I'm not saying that you can't use other people's words and shit. I just feel like sometimes people are so trendy. It's like, do you have any substance? You're just saying all the words I'm using right now, you know? So I like, yeah.
You're definitely unique in your flavor that you bring to the microphone. When I first heard you, I was not, when you look at someone, you have this idea of like, they might sound like this, or, you know, they're going to have this type of vibe. But when I heard your music and then I saw you, because I heard your music first, and I was like, oh, wow. So shout out to Southwest Alliance, because we have a Dropbox that we put everyone's music in. And when I heard your music and then I went and saw you, I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. So being that you're out in LA, you're from New York, if you could have a dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would you sit down with?
Damn, going there. Okay. Tupac, definitely Tupac. I feel like I want to make it themed, right? Because like if I go like Tupac, Michael Jordan, and like Muhammad Ali, like they're probably going to spend the whole time getting to know each other. So I feel like it should all be like hip hop, and it's probably like Tupac. Let's go Tupac. Like Eminem, and the third one's hard. I'm like between a few people. I was thinking Kanye, but like that could go badly. He can take over the dinner. I was thinking Kid Cudi, maybe Kid Cudi.
Okay.
Kid Cudi. Yeah, let's go with Kid Cudi. I said that could possibly happen. You know, like when I'm saying like I should go for someone. Let's go Biggie, Tupac, and Eminem.
Okay. I like that. Now, this is kind of a tricky question because I feel like you're still early in your career, but to me, with some of the people you have on your album, you've made quite a name for yourself. Has there ever been a time in your career, either rapping or otherwise, that you've been overlooked or maybe passed up for an opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. And that drives me a lot, actually. I think right now I'm getting passed up in certain ways, you know, like, and that I think like, is exactly what ambitious people kind of tend to focus on, is the areas they're passed up on, because,
right.
You know, it's if you listen to like Michael Jordan talk and stuff like that, he's focused. You obviously don't want to sweat the stuff that didn't work, but you have a chip on your shoulder. And if you don't have a chip on your shoulder, it's hard to push things that far. Right. So I definitely feel slighted all the time. I feel like this album should be blowing up. You know, I think it's doing well. I'm really happy with it, but I don't think it's had its day yet. And I think it will happen. But, I think there's going to be a point in like 6 months where people are like, how the hell was this album out? And like, has all these features, and this guy went bar for bar with all these people, and hip hop didn't like go crazy about it, right? Or in the first few weeks. So I feel looked over, and I felt looked over in work, because I have a bit of a style that's like a little understated, but very effective. And sometimes people are really showy and really glitzy. I'm not that. I'm like thorough as hell. So I do things the right way, and I work hard. So I think that makes you subject to get looked over a lot, whether in music or in other professional pursuits. Getting looked over is a huge thing for me, and I like it. You know, it drives me.
It's definitely something that creates ambition and drive for some people. So I like that you've been able to morph it into your driving factor. So we're not superheroes, but do you have any superpowers?
Yeah, of course.
What would they be?
I think my freestyle ability, which I hate bringing up because we don't have like a beat situation right here, but I think my freestyle is a pretty big superpower. I could freestyle for like ever. And that helps me make songs, because I'm just like, sometimes I'll be writing and I'll be like, wait, just stop. Just like, what would you do if you're freestyle right now? And I'll get a completely new flow. And that kind of helps me create a lot. That's one of my superpowers. And I think I'm a really good judge of character, and I'm 100% real. Like some people say they're real and they're like 85% real. Like I got no other ingredients.
I love that. So this one is a little tricky because being an artist and a rapper, we like to switch it up a lot. So if you could only play one song for the rest of your life, what song would you be listening to?
The first song that came to my head, because I'm only listening to one song, so I feel lonely. Dogs Get Lonely Too by Tupac and Nate Dogg. One of my favorite songs ever. That's a great song. Let's go with let's go with that. I'm not going to think of anything better than that. Let's do that.
Okay. I like that. Let's flip it now. If you could only listen to one song off of your album, what song would it be?
Probably Sudden Death, which is actually a song that just has me on it, and it's 6 minutes long, which means that it's like the deepest cut in the album by nature. And I think that song's got like 10 different moods in it. It's crazy. The beat changes halfway through. My second verse is like out of control. It's like one of my best verses. So definitely that song.
That's crazy because that's one of the ones I really wanted to talk about. So let's kind of move into that then, since we're here. So Sudden Death is a 6 minute track, and at 3 minutes you could have ended it and had 2 songs.
Yes.
So what made you keep going and keep it one song?
So there were 2 songs, like they're 2 different beats by two different producers. And we ended up doing this little thing in the middle where you hear kind of both beats, and it goes really cool. And we have the quote, and then all of a sudden you're in like this other world. What made me do that? I think I actually heard them back to back and was like, holy fuck, these songs really sound cool back to back. And I was like, I could put one after the other. And I was like, maybe they could just be one song, because they kind of have like such a fused feel. So that was part of it. And then the themes of the songs actually go together, because the first part is like, I'm trying to make it as a rapper. Like I was writing the thick of things in the pandemic, writing a bunch of songs. Like I've got to fucking make it. And then the second half of the song is like kind of about like personal pressures. It's the idea. It's like a metaphor for like everyone being like, you got to make a speech. You go and like you're not prepared. Kind of like a dream like that. Like kind of like going through that and just being like, fuck all you guys. Kind of like I'm just gonna make the speech and say whatever the fuck I want. So kind of like the first half is like saying fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. Second half is saying in my personal life, like fuck it. It's kind of transcending giving a fuck in my rap side and in my personal life.
You know, I really like that song. That's one of my favorites on the album. And part of one of the bars is I'm dehydrated, I spit till I got nothing left. Yeah. And that to me, I'm like, damn, like people don't really think about what dehydration means, right? And how we hydrate ourselves. And then you're rapping so much that you're physically dehydrated. Yeah. And then to boot, you took a hook out of that first 3 minutes, the Twitter bar, and you flipped it and put it into the second part.
Yeah, that's an incredible accident, because those songs were literally made at 2 separate times. I know that. I heard that like a few months after. I was like, holy shit, this actually just worked out, that these lines parallel each other perfectly. But yeah, no, those are actually thought of differently. I did write the songs in a similar time, but yeah, it works perfectly. I can't take credit that I made that, because I made them separately.
Do you feel like that happens though? Because sometimes I'm a writer, and sometimes when I'm writing, I'll be writing and I'm like, yo, that bar is actually a chorus.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you do that?
Like even like when I'm making Sudden Death or even Consistency, when I'm writing those choruses, I'm thinking like, this is the type of chorus I like that kind of sounds like a verse because it's rapped, but also like it's a chorus because it stands. And yeah, I do think like there are a number of lines, like even at the end of the first verse where I was like, spit so hard, Mike, got my DNA, whole game getting changed. I rearrange a PSA. No weed in my pants, uneventful TSA. It's my time, my ERA. Take your mic like VMAs that fuck you just what we erase. That part about DNA, that's a song I haven't dropped yet. Like that was a reference to a song. So I'm always like kind of like dropping Easter eggs and shit. And like what your vision is with that is that people kind of pick them up and put them together and understand, oh, this is your vision. You were referencing this song and that song, and you have a whole world here. Kind of, it's not just like someone rapping. It's this whole line that you're getting into. So
this question's kind of random. If you could win the lottery or win Rap Artist of the Year, which one would you go for?
You know, the lottery is $1 billion right now, right? It's a hard time to ask this question. It make me seem like a phony. No, I'm just kidding. No, Rap Artist of the Year. Who's giving me Rap Artist of the Year? Who's awarding this?
Oh, Eminem.
But like, is it like a pub? I mean, I guess it's probably something legit if Eminem's doing it. You know what? I'm taking $1 billion, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because I believe in myself. I don't need that validation. I'm going to take that $1 billion, and I'm going to go further than that. That out of nowhere validation goes, even though it would be earned, but just like Eminem saying that, and then I got to go work with that moment and build off it. I'd rather have $1 billion because I trust myself as a builder to make something cool off that.
You know, clever decision because you've already been nominated. right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I already got that. I get both.
I love it. So the album is sick. Let's talk about it. You have so many features on here, and I am jaw dropped because some of the names that are on here, I'm like, how the hell did he get that feature? You know, because like you said, you're kind of looked over at this point in time. Like people are sleeping on you, in my opinion. So the intro I love because I'm from a generation where we went cover to cover album play. And the intro is usually like a 10-second playful skit or something, right? But you took the intro and you actually made a whole concept and idea and song out of it. Why did you choose that as an intro title as well as concept to start the album?
That's a great question. So the way that that came together, to take you back, originally the album was going to be called Crayon Masterpiece. That was my idea for it. And I ended up, you know, as you get further along in music, you kind of start to like look around and be like, you know, I don't know if it's time for my Crayon Masterpiece yet. Like, let me get out there with these features. And when people start to appreciate and understand where I'm coming from, then I can release my masterpiece. But to just come out with it, let me rethink that. Let me come out and kind of make this succinct, awesome project that people can go fuck with and listen to a million times and make a longer project at. So because of that, Big Rube listened to the project when it was originally Crayon Masterpiece. You hear his voice note at the end. Like he loved the whole thing. Like you listen to it front to back. And he thought, when I was talking to him, and if you've ever spoken to Big Rube, that's a trip. Like he's so smart and so wise and like speaks so abstractly and in poetry. Like I was like, and I'm a creative guy. I was on the phone. I was like, what the hell is happening right now? Is this guy making this up right now? Like on the fly, like poems about the universe and shit. I was like, God damn. And then he was saying stuff about my album and kind of like, he liked the idea of the Crayon Masterpiece because we're thinking outside the lines, we're coloring outside the lines. That's the feel he got from the project. So I wanted him to do the intro because he's great at intros and I love Big Rube from his Outkast days and killed it. And then that verse so he sent me an acapella. I surfed through a million beats, found the right beat, which took, as I just said, a while because like beats don't always fit. It didn't bring out the majesticness. Like he just sent me an acapella. Like there's a version I have with him just talking. Okay. So I put the beat behind it. And then I had this other rap that I liked on the other beat. And again, just fused two beats. And I called it Outside the Lines because I really like that concept because I still think the album does that. It takes you outside the lines, like what's typical in hip hop.
I think just the lineup is outside the lines because you took some people that I would not necessarily think this artist and this artist on the same album. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let's talk punches because this is definitely one for the punches. You've got Slim Thug and Dizzy Wright on that. How did you land them? Like, how are you getting these features, bro?
That's persistency and some of my sales background, knowing how to like reach out to people in the right way. Knowing, I was saying yesterday, one of the ways I got Big Rube, this isn't the same thing, but like I would like be like, yo, I love that song on Donis's mixtape from like 8 years ago, Southern Lights, killed that intro because that's really when I got into Big Rube random. But he's like probably hasn't thought of that in 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So that starts a conversation. I think that's what a lot of artists don't get is that if you come at the angle of do something for me or business, people react a lot different. But if you come at the angle of I genuinely fuck with you and I've been reading your book basically that you're writing with your music, very different interaction. And then you can send people music and they have a higher likelihood of wanting to get on it. So Slim Thug, that I worked out kind of, I think that was a long kind of conversation of coming together with him and his manager Hev. And then Dizzy Wright, I've listened to Dizzy Wright since he used to rap with Hobson and that crew. So that's how that happened. I just was talking to him about that. And Dizzy Wright's dope. Like a lot of people, some people are like, who's Dizzy Wright? I'm like, bro, go to Vegas. I don't know who Dizzy Wright is.
Dizzy Wright just came through here not too long ago. Are you planning on touring this with any of these artists?
So not at this moment. What I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to build the brand of it. Kind of, I'm going on shows like this, shooting music videos. I'm trying to shoot a video right now for consistency with Kxng Crooked. So working that out. I know. I just shot a video for Enter My Brain, the outro. So building kind of the depth of this project. Cause I do think it's a deep project. Like, I don't think I need to go like hit the road and do all these songs. I think people, it's the kind of song, the thing that you sit with, you listen to a lot. And then you go see a show and you really appreciate the lyrics. So we're planning on doing shows sometime late this year, early next.
Okay. Now, speaking of consistency, that might be semi-easy to get done because Crook's out there in LA. Well, not LA, but he's in the Southern California region. So that's dope, man.
Yeah.
Is there a timeline we can look at yet? Or when's a good time to check back in on that?
I mean, keep checking back in. I'd say I'm talking to him now. He's busy because he's got a lot of stuff going on, but hopefully we can work it out to shoot it sometime in the next few weeks and then we get it out in the next month or two.
I'm excited because that track. Oh, we'll talk about that later. So you have Reservations. Now, this one I adore. And I don't know if it's because I'm partial to JADAKISS or if it's the tempo or I haven't really put my finger on it yet. What made you go that direction with JADAKISS?
So the JADAKISS stuff happened through RAEKWON's brother, Don, who I've established, we're pretty good friends at this point. Like, he's helped me a lot. And the way that beat happened is this happens sometimes. Like, I had a song in mind. I think I had Punches in mind for JADAKISS. And I think I sent him and I was like, what do you think? And he was like, he could do it. Like, it would definitely go okay. But I mean, do you have anything else that would maybe fit? And I even felt that way at the time. Even though I think JADAKISS would have killed Punches. But I had this other beat by Young Dizza, who made the beat for Up by Cardi B. So that's the same guy. And his Reservations. And I don't know, something about the way the beat starts, it kind of starts like it's just ready to fucking go. Like, it starts and it's like, oh shit, we're in. And then the hook, I really like that hook because I think it's got so much energy. I sound like I am raspy. So I sound naturally similar kind of to JADAKISS. If you take out the beat, kind of like it sounds a little bit similar. But I'm not doing his thing. Like, I'm doing a different thing. I'm going a little more wild. And yeah, I think he goes perfectly on that track. Like, it kind of reminds me of the type of track that would have like been like a #1 track like 5 years ago. Like, it really, like when the DJ Khaled songs were coming out, kind of like energy.
There is a track that I want to talk about that's not on the album, and it's Friends. And the reason that when I hear Reservations, it's not, and my brain is different than most people, but when I think reservation, I'm like, okay, reservation for two. And so the song Friends is like, I feel like it's setting a new tone for the dating scene, in my opinion, because it's like, we're friends, but I like want to rub your temples and get rid of your migraines and get deep with you. So anyway, that was just a sidebar on that. So back to the album, Millennials by Big K.R.I.T.
Yes.
Bro. So I feel like millennials are getting a hard time. They're getting a bad rap. Yes. And, sometimes the truth hurts. Why this track for Big K.R.I.T?
So if you look at, like, I think sometimes millennials get a bad rap for things that are probably Gen Z. I think sometimes people say, oh, millennials, like in their TikTok. It's like, well, actually, it's kind of like Gen Z. But what the millennial song is, it's kind of like a look back. Like, me and K.R.I.T I'm a little younger than him, but I think we're both millennials. I actually checked, we're both millennials. So it's kind of like a look back at our era and being like, looking at all these people who kind of like, my verse especially is like, it's about a boy and a girl, just to give the sides. Like, I'm not going to just talk about a SoundCloud rapper. I'm not just going to talk about like an influencer girl on Instagram. It's not really about gender. The point is that there's all these different types of people who are trying to be influencers, who, that's fine. Like, I get it. I have to post and do TikToks and shit for my rap. I don't get it if you don't have a passion, though. So that's kind of what it's about, is like these people who are doing this because like they don't want to work, or like they think that this is kind of the shortcut, and posting all these, doing all this stuff is a way to kind of not go after things in life and just do what they want. Now, I think that people should pursue their dreams, and that's not what the song's about. It's more like blaming. If you listen, there's a line that's like, meanwhile, my man got 5 YouTube subscriptions, blamed it on all his. The youth didn't listen. So it's like kind of these people making excuses, and and there's also, I go into the parents of the girl in the track. So it's like, you see like her dad was shitty. So it's like, there's kind of background to this. I'm not fully blaming them. I'm just saying, like, this is kind of how our generation has operated the last 10 years, like a lot of us, and it's sad. And then Big K.R.I.T basically takes the same theme, but does it all about like rappers signing to labels, and really like about these rappers who kind of like go to a label off one song, blow up. And a lot of times his verse really talks about like, try not to get hit making hits. Like they're going to set up a beef with you in your city. You might die, but they don't care because they'll make money. So it's kind of about like the next level of selling your soul kind of, and doing it wrongly, and just stay thorough. And I'm trying to think of his last line. His last line is kind of like basically stay true to yourself. That's like the best thing you can do.
I think it's a perfect segue into Shark Tank because the industry can be pretty sharky.
Yeah.
You know, treacherous waters, if you will. RAEKWON, like you mentioned him earlier, and his brother hooking you up, you know. So is this like a personal relationship that you have with RAEKWON from being from New York? Like, how did that come together?
It's more like a personal relationship I have with his brother.
Okay.
He's a busy dude, but yeah, it's kind of come from me being in New York. Being from New York is very, very good in that sense, but like linking with younger, like I was talking about before, like linking with younger artists isn't quite as easy. Linking with the OGs, I managed to do that just through persistence and going to the studio and meeting people. So Shark Tank, what was your original question about Shark Tank?
The question was, how did you get this feature from RAEKWON?
Yeah, so it was through his brother. And Shark Tank's another one where it was like, I think I was not sure which song we should put him on. I sent down a bunch of stuff. And then it was like, oh shit, I have one more. What about this one? And he was like, yeah, that's the one. What's the name of that producer? Like we want, you know, it was like that. So it was, that was a cool experience. And that one, that's the, like, if you listen to my verse, it's like too many bars. It's like 100 bars, like so many bars, half chorus, half verse. That one, but it's crisp and it's, you know, it's clean. And if you listen to it, like it matches RAEKWON well. And I think that one was like, I recorded that in 2 takes. Like I did one straight take, then I did another straight take, and I was like, well, those are both perfect. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go home and listen to both of them, pick which parts I like of both. And I picked like 80% of one take and 20% of the other, and just combine it. Which I usually don't do. Usually it's more like either like I'm freestyling, we get a vibe and we work on it, or like I have a written song and I'm going to do the chorus and I'm going to do the first part and then I'm going to do like 3 through 7. It was more organized. This one was just like, I'm doing it all once because it was such a passionate verse. But yeah. That was my first song. So it means a lot to me. It has almost 900,000 plays on SoundCloud. I'd love to see that one get to 1 million. It's like,
bro, bananas. Are you guys going to do a video?
I hope so. RAEKWON's out here sometimes, but he's out here so quickly that it's like,
yeah.
He's on Good Morning America the next day. Like we almost did it at one point back when the track dropped. But I think as the album does better and starts to get the recognition it deserves, doing these videos is going to be a lot easier because it's kind of like, hey, I know you're only here for like 12 hours, but this is like the biggest song you have on SoundCloud right now, or streaming on Spotify really well. So it becomes easier to kind of like take out like 8 hours of someone's day when they're just here for 12 hours.
Are you opposed to any like anime or graphic? I don't know what you call them. I don't want to call them cartoons, but that's the generation I'm from. Those type of videos. I'm
not opposed to it. I've done a few. I have one for my reservations video.
Okay.
My thing with it is I don't know. It almost like I like it. I like it, but I don't watch like a ton of anime growing up, so I feel a little inauthentic about it if I'm doing the anime stuff. I like to try. I watch like a little Yu Yu Hakusho. I like to try to use that. But then too, it's kind of like I feel like that almost like we could have a video one day. So like. Or not one day soon. So I'd rather do like a lyric video or something else that isn't like at all official and sing a video, I think. But it's tough.
So Doja Cat has one of her songs, and we won't go down that rabbit hole, but she's got one song with like 5 different videos to it.
That's all cartoons?
No, they're like different vibes, like different aesthetic. I don't want to say 5. I think it's like 3. But she's done the song with these various videos until she broke. So she has variations of these videos before she broke. And I'm like, that's clever because the song was a hit and she knew it and her team knew it, but the video, the aesthetic wasn't right. You know what I mean? To help her excel. So that's why I asked. Because sometimes I feel like having more than one video, the official video, you know, is dope. But yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to be side by side, or at least, you know, creatively combined with the person who's featured on it? So that would be sick.
I think you're right. I think I do. I think for the fans though, I I got to give like a continuous kind of visual to this album. So I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna get that up.
I like that, and I really like the artwork. How did you do the artwork for the album?
It's a good question. So I found this guy on Instagram who liked one of my posts, who makes movie posters for, he's Italian, and he makes like, I don't know if he made a movie poster for like Machete, but it's like drawn. So it's not necessarily like what they always use, but he has like he's just an incredible artist. His name's Nino Camerata. And he made that. I worked with him a lot on that. Like personally, I was really, really specific about what I wanted that to look like. And it came out great. And the idea was like, I want this to look like a movie. Like I want you to feel like I'm entering, so like I'm not just gonna like skip around and click. Like if you want to do that, probably not the album for you, honestly, like because it's not like the type of album that you can just pick up in 2 seconds. Like, you know, it's better when you listen to it, when you listen to a whole song, you listen to the whole album. So that's kind of what I wanted to give, is like, this is like a real project. Like this isn't just something I like shot out. This is like something that was thoughtful.
So being from Utah, is that Southern Utah that we're looking at? Do you know?
I don't, that's a really good, it might be because we sent a bunch of pictures back and forth of like real canyons and mountains, and I don't know which one.
Okay. Because there's a spot down in Moab, and I'm like, is that it? Because it looks a little different because it is drawn. But anyway, I love that you have, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but you have like the Mount Rushmore vibe of like your name in the mountain, and then you're standing there, or someone is standing there admiring. Okay.
Yeah, the idea of the cover is, if you actually look really close, like my clothes are a little scuffed up. I have like cuts on me, and the idea is like, I've just come from this ridiculous journey. I get to the ledge, and it's like, okay, I got to climb that mountain to get to be like one of these guys, to be like one of these goats. Like I got to get, if you see, there's like almost like a chapel with like a light from heaven on top of the mountain.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things in there. So it's
like, I have to go back and check it out because the phone is like this big, you know, so maybe looking at it on a computer will make the details come out more. So back to details. Bro, you are a vibe. So we haven't talked about consistency because I want to close with that. But outro, Enter My Brain. It's a vibe, dude. And I was not prepared for that, because after what I had heard already, because cover to cover, I listened to the whole album, you know, when that came on, I was like, ooh, what's happening right now? Like outro, like, wait, are you setting a tone for the next chapter of life? Like, what's happening right now? Let's talk about it. The production is crazy. The vibe is, the tempo, like it's just completely different than what I had already heard on the album.
Yeah, that's true. And I appreciate that. Young Silver produced that. That's my boy out of Canada. Yeah, I agree. That is the one song that had such a different vibe from the rest of the album that I was like, yeah, you're not coming off. Like you're staying. You work anyway. Like I'm just gonna keep you. Because there are a lot of songs that are like really fucking dope. Like Friends could have been. Friends was on the album at a point just because it's like one of my favorite songs. But I was like, this is gonna take away. Like I can do an album like this, or I can do an album that kind of mixes these two things. But to just throw on Friends, like that's gonna dilute what the rest of this kind of imagery is. But that song I felt comfortable putting it on because it really, you know, 21, I decided I wasn't destined for fame, got a real job and let it enter my brain. So kind of like the idea of also like, I kind of decided like, fuck, I'm not gonna do this, I guess. Let that get to my head, but also like you're entering my brain listening to the album. So yeah, that song, I love that song. It kind of reminds me, the beat reminds me of Walking on a Dream with the Wiz remix.
Okay.
So that's why I love that song. And it's a totally different style. Like you hear me first, I'm singing, which I don't do really any other point in the album, but then it's like me rapping in a different way than I've really rapped. It's more like frantic, but also like bright than the rest of the album in a way.
So anybody who has tapped in, if you have not picked up the album, it's available. It dropped 7/22 this year. It's available on all streaming platforms.
Hell yeah.
Okay. It's called Punches. Yo, the last track, which is not the last track, but the last track we'll talk to is Consistency. And I think that for me, I struggle with consistency the most because of my own life and personal issues. So with that song, I was kind of surprised the angle you came with it because of, and maybe it's none of my business or whatever, but I know Crook is sober.
Yes.
So to hear you say those things on that, I was like, oh, this is clever. I'm curious to hear how, you know, how this is going to play out. And I love the setting. Mm-hmm. So Consistency, where did that concept first come from? And then why did you choose Kxng Crooked for that particular song?
So the consistency came from like a real thought, which like some songs do. Friends came from a real thought too. Like I was like, whoa, like I'm, like really like best friends with my girl. Like that's it. Like, why couldn't we do that? Same consistency. It kind of came like, I was like sitting there, and you're right. Like it is different because I'm talking about weed and coffee, but I was sitting there and I've been writing so much on weed and coffee. And I was kind of like, it just kind of this moment of appreciating my own consistency. That was like, yes, I like, getting high and writing rhymes and drinking coffee and getting all buzzed, but like, it's me, you know what I mean? It's not the coffee.
Okay.
Like, it's been me working hard. And that's why I've gotten to this point where I can go for this album. So it was kind of like a look back, and it was like a very deep moment where I was kind of like, appreciate your own, like, cause I'm hard on myself. So I was like, appreciate your own consistency. Like, there's a reason you're able to do this. Like you worked very hard for a long time. So that was that. And when Crook, so I sent Crook a few songs, and he was like, I fuck with another song. Actually, it's going to come out soon. That's really good. That he's not on, but he heard both. He was like, the other one's a vibe and hard too, which is definitely a lane, but consistency, like with my battle with sobriety, I really fuck with that record, like personally, and maybe it's a battle with sobriety, but like his sobriety.
No, it's sobriety is a day-to-day thing, a moment-to-moment thing. So,
so yeah, so that's what's interesting. Like when he has his line about sobriety, but then what I think about is like that. At first, I was like, oh, that's kind of two different concepts. I'm talking about like, I'm smoking, and I am, but that's what it means for me. That's what it means for him. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You've been sober.
I'm sorry.
He's being consistent by staying sober. I'm thinking about it in a little bit of a different way, but at the end of the day, and you asked why I got him on the track, like, cause he's consistent as hell. Like I never heard a bad verse from him. Kxng Crooked was actually, when he was Crooked I, was my yearbook quote in high school.
Okay.
His line. So I've always been like a huge fan, and that's how that came together.
I love that you added Crooked I, because that's the generation I'm from and how I knew him as young Crook. So, but you've been very consistent, no pun intended. I'm loving the vibe, the visualization, and the tone, the mood that you set for this album. I think that album music is a lost art, but it's definitely not lost here. I think you hit the nail on the head with this one. I know that you have a tech company. You've got music videos coming out. You're focusing more on the visual side of this. Is there anything else that we can look forward to with this chapter of your life right now? Yeah,
I'd say this. So like I've been putting out TikToks the last 3 days that explain the story of the song a little bit. Obviously, if you listen to this, you just heard the story, but there's some more really good details on this, on each song. What I'd say I'm trying to do now though is I have so much music. I was just like learning the music game a little bit. Like some of these songs were made like 5-6 months ago and even longer. I've just gotten to the point now where I like landed on this planet and came out with this. There's a lot of shit I'm about to put out. Like I got so much over flooding. It's just like, what do I do first? Because I got songs with dope rappers and a lot of shit. So it's kind of like now that people were like, are we going to get music from you? Like you came out Friends in February. You just came out this now. Like it's not gonna be another 6 months. I'm like, no, it's definitely not going to be another 6 months. It's gonna be like another 6 days if I don't stay patient.
I think that's kind of necessary. I know that we're oversaturated with content, but the more content, the more likely that, strike while the iron's hot kind of vibe. So I ask all my guests this question. It is a closing question. If you were me and you were asking the questions, what question would you ask yourself?
That's a great question. I guess I maybe would ask like, what's different about me? Because I think there's so many rappers now. Like, I think like 10 years ago, it was a little bit less. And now it's just like everyone and their fucking mother's a rapper. So I guess what's different about me, the main thing that's different about me is like, I can't describe how real this all is to me when I'm rapping, when I'm freestyling. Like at the beginning of Enter My Brain, if you listen closely, like I'm crying, like there's tears in my eyes while I'm saying that because the music touches me. Like it's not something that I'm putting on. And you can even hear, like, I'm not here talking like I'm, like a tough guy or anything like that. I mean, I'm not trying to put on a persona or anything like that. So if you want, a cap rapper who, like does a bunch of shit and that's what's cool for you, if they lie about shit and you're good with that, like, that's not me. So I think if you want someone who's actually saying shit that they mean, if you like that 90s, that 2000s, if you really grew up on rap and you like bars, here we are. I'm real and I'm thorough and I'm never going to say anything that's not true.
I love that. And I look forward to seeing you again on Southwest Alliance with new music coming out. I'm going to keep playing this album, Punches. Morning Cup of Culture. We don't say goodbye. We build communities and make music. If you want to be a part of the discussion, hit me up, morningcupofculture@gmail.com. Yo, Canyon, introduce this track, bro.
Absolutely. This song is called Consistency by Canyon featuring Kxng Crooked. Let's go.
Consistency. Don't need drugs that lives in me. Pacing around all listlessly. Mix of weed and this caffeine. I'ma stay, I found my peace. Uplifting epiphanies, but it's sitting differently. Thinking about my history, I've always had consistency. Don't need drugs that lives in me. Pacing around all listlessly. Mix of weed and this caffeine. I'ma stay, I found my peace. Uplifting epiphanies, but it's sitting differently. Thinking about my history, I've always had consistency.
Instantly, I'ma get this cheese. Everybody come and take a trip with me. R.I.P, I'ma rip this beat. I'ma mix it like chemistry. I don't give a fuck about the industry. On one with my 9 to the 10th degree. Worth a meal on the screen, call it MTV. Yeah, I'ma be consistent, I'ma be persistent. I don't need assistance, so just keep your distance. Y'all egotistic, better be realistic or you be statistic. Get your people twisted. When I squeeze the biscuit, that mean a gundo. Keeping it a hundo, king of the jungle. Gung-ho, people wanna rumbo. Cook 'em like gumbo. Elephant in the room, I treat that Dumbo just like a dumb hoe. Cutthroat, I'ma lead an instrumental blood soak. If you want beef, I'ma bring it to your front door. Can they see one flow? No, Crooked is destructo. On the corner with my killer gorillas, only the realest can feel us, cause I'm a menace to society. I know you haters wanna give us the business, I wanna get in my feelings, but I'ma kill it with sobriety. Religiously, 20 gold chains like a Mr. T. King Tut bury me with an MPC. I don't need a gang, homie, it's just me. I'ma handle that so viciously. Light a hater up like a Christmas tree. When I rap, it's a rap that's a gift from me. I don't know what y'all about, but let me tell you what I'm all about.
Consistency. Don't need drugs that lives in me. Pacing around all listlessly. Mix of weed and this caffeine. I'ma stay, I found my peace. Uplifting epiphanies, but it's sitting differently. Thinking about my history, I've always had consistency. Don't need drugs that lives in me. Pacing around all listlessly. Mix of weed and this caffeine. I'ma stay, I found my peace. Uplifting epiphanies, but it's sitting differently. Thinking about my history, I've always had consistency.